But we're going to start the show with a cheese fondue, and I make a cheddar beer fondue, which is fantastic. I do a Swiss cheese fondue, but this is a new fondue recipe I came up with, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So sip of coffee, and I'm going to get to work on this one, although it's not that much work. Ann, how are you doing today?
Oh, holly and jelly.
Well, good. So I'm going to start with simmering a little bit of chicken stock. Cheese fondue is more than just melting cheese. You need to add a few other ingredients because we want it to be smooth and silky. So I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of chicken stock, and I'm going to get that simmering. And I also got 1 clove of garlic. So I'm making a white cheese fondue with garlic and chives. It's really going to be delicious. I had a fondue like this, a similar fondue at a restaurant in the Twin Cities recently, and I was like, you know what, I can make that at home. I love going to restaurants and then trying to figure out how I can kind of make a copycat restaurant like that at home. Okay, so we're using our wonderful Springside cheese. We love, love, love their cheese. It's just the milk is brought in fresh. It's made locally in the Oconto Falls area. Just have some wonderful cheeses, cheddars and jack cheeses. So this morning we're actually using their Monterey Jack onion and chive cheese so that I don't have to chop up onions, and their regular Monterey Jack cheese. So we're going to use a combination of both of those. And with fondue, it is really important to use good cheese. I mean, that's going to be the star of the show. So I'm starting out, and I'm just grating myself. I always debate, is it worth doing, should you do the food processor thing, or is it better to just, use a box grater? In this case, it goes so quickly, if I can figure out doing the attachment off this food processor, thanks, Ann, that it takes seconds to grate the cheese. So in this case, it's worth it. Now Ann's struggling with it here. I can do this. No problem. Okay, all right. Once you get these mastered, it's really easy to do, but it's just mastering them. So I'm going to do both Monterey Jack, the plain, and the onion and chive. Get it in my food processor. And this is the reason I decide, yeah, in this case, we'll use the old food processor because it takes seconds to do. And grating it by hand is just not quite as easy.
Plus, I'm here.
Plus, Ann's here. She gets to do the dishes today. She reminded me. That's why we love you, Ann. Hey, I hope you'll come out and see me. I've got lots and lots of cookbook signings coming up, holiday signings and events over the next several weeks. Tomorrow night, I'm at the Cedar Ridge craft store for their open house. Should be a lot of fun. 4:36. Kimberly Library on Thursday night, although that event, I'm told, is pretty much packed. So lots of book signings at Festival Foods and over the next several weeks. So, okay. This is starting to smell really good, isn't that, Ann? Mm-hmm. So at this point, I'm going to add my cheese a handful at a time and whisk it together with the chicken stock. Smells absolutely delicious. So this is kind of fun. On today's show, we're going to go to my house. We're going to put the Christmas tree up and do some holiday decorating over the next couple weeks. We've got all sorts of different ideas for your house too. So we're going to take you through my house and show you some of the decorations and things that I've got going on and kind of what's in style this year, so you can use some of those ideas and use them in your home. We've decked out the bathroom, the dining room, the kitchen, the mantle. It's really looking pretty. And no, I didn't do it myself because there's no way I could have. But it's just interesting to see how my Christmas tree is decorated this year. I'll give you a hint. It only has 9 ornaments on it. It's crazy, and it's a great big tree. Yeah, you'll have to stick around, Ann, to see. Okay, so my cheese is melting along with my chicken stock, and if I need to add some more chicken stock, I can. But you notice it's a little bit stringy, so now I'm going to solve that problem, and I'm going to do that with cornstarch, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. It's going to add some flavor, and a little bit more of my chicken stock. I'm going to whisk that together. And now I'm going to add this to, oh, look at that, it's beautiful. We just want our cheese to be really smooth and not stringy. And this is going to help do it. The cornstarch mixture, the Worcestershire is going to give it a little flavor. So in we do. The other thing is when you've got your cheese in your fondue pot, you want to make sure that your fondue pot is not a real high heat. You want to just keep it warm. That's really the trick. There are all sorts of different fondue pots out there. You may even have one. I think we all have one somewhere. But this happens to be an electric fondue pot. It's really nice if you're doing meat fondues because you can get the oil or the broth really simmering hot. But then there are some fondue pots that have a candle, more of a really light heat. That's better for a dessert fondue. There are the sterno fondue pots, so there's all different types of fondue pots out there. But again, with the cheese, it's really important to kind of be able to control the temperature, and a candle is just not really enough heat for that, so I like to use my electric fondue pot or one of the ones with a sterno that you can kind of control it. So you see how I added that cornstarch? And it really did bring the whole thing together. It's not stringy anymore. And if you could smell this at home, oh my gosh, it smells divine. So in it goes to my fondue pot. And if you're having a big group over, you may want to double the recipe. And then you've got to serve this with fun dippers. For cheese fondue, and for a Swiss fondue, I do, you know, French bread and apples and grapes. For this fondue, because we've got the onion and the chives and the garlic in there, I thought it was more of a savory fondue, so I didn't think fruit would pair as well with it. So we're doing some French bread. And at this restaurant I went to in Minneapolis, I thought, what a great idea. If your bread isn't real crusty, they actually do it with croutons. Not a real hard crouton, it's more of a soft crouton. So we just took some French bread, chunked it up, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and just lightly toasted it in the oven. And that way it's going to stick really, really nice on our fork. And it's not going to be like a rock hard, like a salad crouton. So it's going to hold up really well in our dipping. I also serving it with some, you can either quickly blanch the vegetables, asparagus would be great, broccoli, carrots, or you can serve them raw. Little cherry tomatoes would be wonderful too. And just dip away. This is a really fun recipe. Why not do fondue this holiday season? So we got the cheese fondue going on. We can decorate the top with a few chives if we wanted.